What's up guys, it's Alex from King of the Gym. Usually I use this channel to review all different types of home gym equipment, but in today's video I want to give you a full tour of my home gym so you can see everything that I currently have all at once and a little bit of what I like and dislike about all the major pieces. To give you some background about this gym, I started it when I moved into this home in 2023, so it's a work in progress, 2 years deep. And when I moved in, after cleaning up the garage, the first thing I wanted to do was to get some high quality flooring in. I didn't want to use stall mats because I knew that eventually I'd want to upgrade, so may as well do it just from the get-go to make the process easier and start from a solid foundation. So I chose the 1/2 inch thick rubber flooring, rolled rubber from Rubber Flooring Inc. and I'm very happy with it. I chose the 10% Fleck with the gray color and it looks absolutely awesome. I actually did a video showing the installation process and it was difficult. I'd say that the cutting part is definitely the hardest, especially with the 1/2 inch thick rubber. But I think that thickness is great. I think it's worth the time just because you don't have to worry about any potential shifting of the rubber when you're moving equipment. And it also provides that extra bit of protection from dropping weights, you know, compared to say 3/8 inch or even 1/4 inch rubber. All right, so moving on, we're just gonna go clockwise around the gym with each individual piece, starting with the tip bar guy, Nordic back extension version 2. I did a review video on this piece and it's a piece that I really do like. It's a solid value and it's versatile without being too difficult to use. There's not too many adjustments that you'll just get frustrated with. I think it's best for Nordic curl regressions because you got a lot of different angle adjustments, so you can do Nordic curls at an intensity that matches your current strength level and then increase that intensity by flattening the bench as you get stronger. It's also really good with back extensions, and you can also convert it to do hip thrusts and Bulgarian split squats as well. Build quality is solid and the price is reasonable. Next up, we got the Rep FB5000, which I've had since I think 2019, and it's held up very well. It's a solid bench, stable, firm, with enough cushion and the old style of grippy vinyl. There's nothing really to complain about. It's a good tripod bench. There's no upright storage, I guess, so more modern benches are gonna probably have that feature built in more commonly. But it's worked well and it still works just fine. I have another flat bench that I'll use maybe half the time and I'll use this one the other half of the time. But there's really not much else to say about it. This is the Force USA compact leg press and hack squat machine. It's actually the subject of my most recent review video, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But I really like this thing. It surprised me with how compact it was. I thought it was going to be a bit larger than this, but it really does not take up that much space in your home gym, and it gives you access to hack squats, leg press, and even calf raises thanks to the use of a small calf block that can insert in the receiver in the center of the foot plate. The foot plate is also one of the best parts about it. Super big, so you can go higher or lower with your stance, or narrower or wider, depending on your biomechanics and which muscles you're trying to hit. The other great part of it is just how smooth it is. The track is on cylindrical guide rods and it has a really nice glider system on the bottom of the sled. The only issue is for shorter users. Unfortunately, if you're on the shorter side, you are going to bottom out on hack squats specifically. In my video, I do go over some workarounds for this, but it's definitely something you should know about ahead of time. Price-wise, it's solid value for currently $1,000. The only thing that I actually noticed recently that I didn't include in my review video was that the end caps have this kind of cheap decorative chrome on it that is coming off. I was wondering where a bunch of glitter was coming up from on my floors, and now I know. So at some point I'm probably gonna go in and just manually scrape the rest of that off. But other than that, really good machine. While I'm here, I want to just point out these calibrated steel powerlifting plates from Vulcan Strength. I literally just got these in yesterday and unboxed them, so I don't really have anything to say about them yet, other than that they kind of compete on price. So potentially if you're in the market for an entry-level set of powerlifting plates, these might be a good choice, but more to come on that. This is the 159 kilo set, and I'm excited to start testing them out. All right, next we got another piece from Vulcan. This is the Vulcan M61 multi-bench, and it's an absolute tank of an adjustable bench. It is built with a ton of super thick steel throughout the frame, and it looks absolutely beautiful with the industrial grind finish paired with the stainless steel rails on both the seat and the backrest, both fully enclosed. One of my favorite things about it is that the backrest has, I believe, 12 different adjustment angles, which is more than any other bench on the market that I know about. It has some cool details like 3 different knurled steel handles, and they're all stainless steel handles, by the way. The one on the main lift handle, one on the seat, and one on the backrest. And these are actually useful things, especially on the backrest, because like I said, this bench is so heavy that having a handle to grip onto is actually something that's useful and not just an aesthetic gimmick. In terms of things I don't like that could be improved would be these are pretty loud when you adjust them, like the backrest. If you just crank it up, it's gonna make some loud noise, and I'm thinking about doing just a DIY fix for that to dampen it, but I think that's something that should definitely come standard. The other issue is that there's just a little bit of resistance in the wheels, especially when it gets to a certain tilt angle. This can be improved by lubricating the wheels, but I think maybe a wheel upgrade is something Vulcan should think about to make this bench pretty much perfect. I use it all the time now. It's my favorite. I mean, I only have one other adjustable bench, but I really do like this thing. And there is one other cool little detail about it that you don't see anywhere else, and I'll show you that. If we put it to the flat position, there's actually a little locking pin here that you can activate just like that, and that keeps the backrest and the seat from moving, which for one you can use to more easily grab the bench and then lift it up, but more so just putting it upright, it prevents the seat from flipping back, and it just makes the whole thing more secure. So if you have kids around your gym, something like that could actually be a really cool safety feature, you know, in case you have any worries about your equipment potentially falling. All right, so here we have yet another piece of Vulcan Strength equipment. It's the Vulcan Prime 3x3 flat bench, and it's, by today's standards, a pretty standard offering in terms of a competition flat bench. It's super sturdy, it's well built, decent quality powder coat, good position of the handle. Technically you can store it upright, though it doesn't actually have a stand for that. And yeah, it's solid overall. It was a good price when I got it, but the one issue that some people are gonna have with it is that there's no UHMW or rubber coverings on the feet. So that's not an issue for me because I already have the rubber flooring. But if you train on a different surface, that could definitely be an issue. Moving on, this is the Rep AB 5000, which is the original zero gap system that Rep came out with several years ago. This is the original version, got it shortly after they released it. And at the time, I thought it was awesome. I really appreciated the novelty of the zero gap system. But after using it for a while, I came to be quite annoyed with how cumbersome that mechanism was to adjust every time you want to change the backrest. It also has pretty outdated vinyl. It's just the non-grippy, traditional vinyl. So you will slip on this one if you're sweating. And the handle placement is terrible. It makes it feel so much heavier than it is to move it around. Build quality, definitely solid. So that part of the bench, no complaints. But I'm very glad that I've upgraded to the Vulcan. And just over here, we have my Titan crash pads, which I used every week back in my old apartment where I had people living beneath me. So they came in handy for not disturbing the neighbors. And they've held up really well considering how much I've used them. There's no tears or any other issues. Even the logos still look great. But nowadays, I don't have much need for them, but I know I probably will use them in the future, so I keep them right here in the corner. This is the MX Select MX100 adjustable curl bar and straight bar set, and I really like this piece. I think it's kind of underrated because I don't see that many people with it, but as in terms of like an adjustable curl bar and straight bar set, it's really one of just two options that I've seen that are actually decent. The other being the Bowflex 2080, which actually uses the patents from MX Select. And I had the opportunity to use the Bowflex one in a Dick's Sporting Goods, and it just doesn't seem as good build quality wise. And there's a little bit more catching of the plates, which is actually one of my favorite parts about this one, is that the plates do not catch almost ever, except for I think when you're using it with the lightest weights, it can be a little bit tricky to get in, but generally you won't have any catching of the plates. And the build quality is solid. The internal mechanism here is all metal, rack and pinion system. Build quality could be improved for the knob. It's kind of plastic and has a cheap sticker on it. Adjustments are super quick, and it just has a good bend profile. It's enjoyable to use. I use it mostly for curls. It has oxidized quite a bit, mostly due to lack of maintenance. But it's a solid piece. The only other downside is that you will feel a little bit of an imbalance issue, especially on curls if you hold it at the wrong rotation. But once you get the hang of that, it's not really that big of an issue, and I really do enjoy using it and plan to keep using it here in my gym for the foreseeable future. Right behind me here on the wall, we have my Barbell Collection on a wall-mounted rack with 8 slots, and it's not even fully stocked up, but I got a few decent bars here, and my favorite is the Kabuki Power Bar, and that one, when it originally came out, I think it cost like $1,000. Probably not worth that price, but it is a great bar. I still gravitate towards it. I really like the knurling. It's very grippy but not painful, very dense pattern. The finish is awesome. It looks great, and it's held up very well over the years to oxidation despite minimal maintenance. There is some sleeve slop, and the end caps do spin around more. They could be tighter, but it's great. And there's also a couple of other bars here worth mentioning. The Absolute 2.0, I think, from Vulcan, and their Elite Training Bar 4.0. Both good bars. And the Rep stainless steel power bar, which I think has been discontinued, but it actually hasn't been that stainless, but otherwise is an okay bar. And then up top, there is the Titan Yukon bar. I think that's their original version. I don't know if they came out with a better version, but this one pretty much sucks because you put it on the bar, and if you take one plate off at a time and don't shift it over, it will flip on the power rack. So definitely recommend something else. All right, so these are my current go-to set of adjustable dumbbells. They're the ones I use for most of my dumbbell exercises. They are the PowerBlock Commercial Pro 100 adjustable dumbbell sets. So yes, they are the commercial version, not the residential Pro 100 EXP model, even though they look really similar. Basically, the main difference, instead of adder weights, you have swappable handles to get 5-pound increments, and swappable handles compared to the power blocks with the adder weights are significantly better. I didn't think they would be, but it really makes a difference in terms of the feel, the balance, but also the efficiency of adjusting weights and getting the smaller increments. Only downside is you can't get 2.5 pound increments, but you can do 5 pounds, which is fine for most people. So they're also really cool because they got my logo on them here, which is awesome. And they got the urethane coating, which makes them more comfortable to use compared to the all metal blocks on, say, the PowerBlock Elites. Knurled handles on all the handles, and they also have the option to get these kettlebell handles that go inside the blocks, and they actually rotate too, which is pretty cool. I really like using these on incline chest supported rows. It's a nice use of them among other things that you could potentially use them for. But yeah, that's pretty much the basics of them. I did do a very in-depth video on these, so if you want to learn more, definitely check that out. All right, so in the corner here, we have this bad boy, which is the Rogue Monster Mass storage system. This is where I kind of put all the little accessories and other pieces of equipment that I'm not necessarily using or that I want easy access to. So when it comes to storage systems, at least in my opinion, I think you should get the biggest system that you can in terms of height and width that won't also impede on space you want for actual equipment that you'll use for exercises. Because trust me, if you're serious about the home gym stuff, you're gonna find, you know, plenty of stuff over time that you'll want to put in storage. And that's why I chose the 100-inch by, I believe, 73-inch version, which is the biggest one that Rogue has. I chose the dumbbell shelves, not because I was going to store dumbbells on them, but because they are able to be angled, and I like that capability. It makes it easier to kind of have stuff in the front and stuff in the back that you can more easily access. And one cool thing I did, I got this right after getting my flooring, and I had some excess flooring left over that just happened to kind of be the right size. So I was able to cut that up and put it on top of the different shelves that will, you know, that's there to basically protect the shelves beneath and also prevent any slipping because they are angled. I know there's a lot more storage options out there, especially like the modular ones from Rep that have come out. So maybe if I were to do it again, I'd look at those. But as is, I am very happy with this piece. It serves its purpose very well. Before I move on from the storage system, I want to kind of show you the different types of things I have on here because I thought that might be a little bit interesting for you. So if we start down low here, I got a set of squat wedges from Rogue. I also have a couple of different leg roller attachments for my 2 adjustable benches. Got my Rep dip attachment here on both sides, and the Sorinex Bulldog pad, which is excellent for chest supported rows. And I got my Iron neck training device, which I used to use for a decent amount of time, but haven't used it really at all in the last few years. Got some weightlifting belts, chalk, PowerBlock accessories, and weight vest, some shoes, and knee sleeves. And then kind of behind here, I got some bands that you'll see, but I also have the Bells of Steel safety squat bar, which is actually a pretty decent little SSB. And then I have some PowerBlock barbells that kind of go into the blocks for a curl bar and a straight bar. They honestly aren't that great, and I don't recommend them unless you're trying to stay strictly within the PowerBlock ecosystem. But then over here, I got this interesting piece, the JD Gym Equipped wrist roller attachment that I know has a decent amount of interest behind it from people who have talked to me about it after seeing some Instagram posts. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in a full review and specifically which questions you have about it. So right here we have the centerpiece of my home gym, which of course is the Rep PR5000 Power Rack with the Aries 1.0 cable system on it. Unfortunately, I got the Aries system right before they launched the 2.0 version, but it's still a great system overall in terms of functionality. You know, my gripes are kind of things that they addressed in the 2.0. Having the weight stacks to the side as instead of front facing is really annoying when you're doing low rows and you want to just quickly adjust the weight while you're still seated. You have to get up every time. Also, the foot plate isn't the best design, but it gets the job done. But let me know from you guys what you think, especially if you have the 2.0, if it's worth upgrading, or if you would potentially even look at a different power rack cable system. This is my wall control wall storage system, which I put on purpose right next to my power rack and cable system. So I have my cable accessories nearby. I also have various other accessories here, lifting straps, wrist wraps, bands, and other items. Just kind of miscellaneous things that don't have a home elsewhere. Up top, this storage here, these storage racks are super convenient. I kind of put stuff up there that I don't use often, but that I don't have another home for. So if you're looking for wall storage, I'd say this is definitely a top pick to consider. Right below the wall storage is my Snode dumbbells. And I did a review on these recently, so definitely check those out if you're interested in very robust, durable dumbbell system. These things got all metal internals and cast iron plates and a cast iron stand. They're great, pretty good knurling. But I actually, like I said earlier, I use my power blocks more than these just because the power blocks are more comfortable, especially on the thighs, because these have, you know, some indentations that kind of pop out, and when you put those on your thighs, they can hurt a little bit. They also, by default, only go up in 10-pound increments, which is pretty big. But I got these magnetic adder weights from M-Plate that kind of solve that issue, and they have a convenient place to put them here when not in use. I don't recommend the magnetic adder weights that Snode makes. They're just not efficient to use at all. Say you want to do a 5-pound increment, you have to take it out of the cradle first. And if you take a look at the stand, I actually added my own custom wheels after a couple of failed attempts to make it more mobile. You know, it's a cast iron stand with the 80-pound each dumbbells, so there's a lot of weight riding on these. So even though I ended up with a pretty robust wheel, when I use this, I'm still a little delicate with the movement, so I don't try to take corners fast. But yeah, this is a solid set overall. I guess the other thing I would mention is that racking and unracking isn't as efficient as possible just due to the kind of the design. But basically, you have to be intentional when pulling it out to pull straight out, as opposed to if you do it a little crooked, they will catch like that. And same thing when you put it back, you gotta be intentional to get it right in there, otherwise it won't go all the way down. But yeah, still a good set overall. especially if you value the ability to drop the dumbbells, because they are warranted for that. And if 2 adjustable dumbbell sets weren't enough, I got a third right here with the PowerBlock Residential Pro EXP, which has now been discontinued for a couple of years. This model goes from 5 to 90 pounds in 2.5 or 5 pound increments. Like I said before, the handles just don't have as good of balance because of the adder weights, and also the adder weights are just kind of more tedious to deal with when you do want those smaller increments compared to just swapping the handles on the commercial set to get the 5 pound increments. Still a really solid set, and I'm keeping it here just to kind of fill up the space, and in case I have multiple people here working out, there's plenty of dumbbells to go around. Last but not least, right here we have the STEPR stair climber. This is the STEPR Plus model, also sometimes called the original STEPR, and it is a solid piece of cardio equipment. I'm a big fan overall, though it's not perfect. I actually did a 55-minute deep dive video reviewing this thing, so if you're interested at all, you'll want to check that out. But my favorite part, I would have to say, is the giant touch screen here. I just throw on YouTube or any other streaming service and just step away while watching that in full screen. And just so you know, there's no subscription at all to use the apps, and they also have some built-in classes, also free, no subscription, which is big since most other connected cardio equipment is all subscription based. The workout itself is pretty solid. The main thing you'll notice in terms of a difference between this particular model and like a commercial stair climber is the step height difference. These are 5.2 inch steps versus 8 inch steps for a typical commercial unit. The main difference is that, one, you just got to get used to it, and two, to get like the same heart rate, you're going to have to go a little bit faster. But yeah, overall, I'm a fan. Super compact, and it fits in 8-foot ceilings for users of most heights. I think up to about 6'4" to 6'5", you'll be good in an 8-foot ceiling. All right, so that's my home gym tour. I hope you enjoyed it and got some value out of it. I definitely had fun making it and talking about all my different stuff. If I missed anything though, anything you saw in the background that I didn't touch on, let me know in the comments. Also, video links to in-depth reviews on a lot of the equipment mentioned here will be down below in the description. I'll also include product links, and some of those will be affiliate links, which if you use them, help support my channel. So I appreciate any support that way. And also I want to hear from you. What else should I bring in my gym? Because I have a whole lot of extra space still. I got some ideas of my own and things potentially in the works, but I want to hear your ideas. So let me know. And until next time, thanks for watching.